Jai Hind students and warm welcome to everyone. I hope you are safe and doing well at home. I hope that you are doing all your questions and the assignments given after the classes. In the previous classes, I gave you some questions on models, some exercises. I hope you would have done. If you have not done, do it quickly because all the exercises given by me are important from the examination point of view. So you must do all the exercises and ask me whatever you do not get, okay, in the WhatsApp group. Okay, children. Now, next is that in today's class, we are going to discuss active and passive voice. And you know what is active? Its root meaning. The passive, its root meaning. In the previous day on Saturday, you were attending a webinar there. You learned that if you are able to catch the root word, you will be able to find out the meaning of the word even when you do not know, or find out the meaning of the sentence. Some of the students were asking me, sir, how to find the antonyms or synonyms asked in the unseen passages. So in the unseen passages, if you do not know the root, the word meanings, and you know the root word of anything, you would be able to find out the meaning. And even if you do not know the word meaning which is asked, so read the sentence once or twice. I hope you will get the meaning of the word. If you do not understand the meaning of the line given uh, in the paragraph, so you read the line before the word that you are not getting, and read another line means after the word that you are not getting. Means whatever you are not getting, read the lines before and after it. So that will make a sense. It will give you a sense and you will be able to know what the possible meaning can this word give. So in the way you will find. So in this session, children, before moving ahead, I must ask you, what is voice? If you know, please write down in the chat box. You have 30 seconds, and then we shall proceed and know little more about active and passive voice. Please children, write down in the chat box. Your time is started, 30 seconds. You have already read active and passive voice in the last year, the last session. When you were in class 8, you have read what is active and passive voice. It was in your syllabus. So you all must answer what is voice. Very good, children. Now let us know what is voice. So whatever you have learned last year, we are just going to revise it. And those who are having command on tenses, they will better understand. If you are not having command on tenses, you will find difficulties. I am telling you for the first. Okay. So if you find any problem in tenses, please after this class take out the PDF of tenses and go through it keenly and come to know all about the rules of tenses, and then see or watch this video again. It is public and open for you. You can watch it again and again, and then you will be able to understand it. Okay, so here children, voice is a form of verb. Okay, voice is a form of verb. You can see even on the screen here. Further, it is categorized in two parts, active and passive voice. Okay, further it is categorized in two parts, active voice and passive voice. Now you know why do we make use of active and passive? If you know, simply write down yes. If you do not know why do we make use of active and passive, please write down no in the chat box. Be quick students, simply write down yes or no. If you know, write down yes. What is the reason of making use of active and passive voice, or where do we make use of active and passive voice? And if you do not know, write down no. Okay, all right children, good. Now just listen, that active voice is used to show the person or the doer who is doing the activity. If I am teaching the class, so here I will say I am giving lecture in the class. Okay, if Ramesh is riding a motorbike, I will say Ramesh is riding a motorbike. Activity is going on. Ramesh is doing the activity, okay, and activity is happening, okay, of riding motorbike. So there are two things: subject, person who is doing the activity, and verb which is showing the activity, and object which is receiving the action done by subject. It is shown here on the screen. You can see even here what is written. Active and passive sentences usually have the same meaning, but the focus is different. Okay, that I was telling you, and focus is different. First of all, let us see what is active voice, and then and what is passive voice, and then we shall know what are the different usages of the active and passive. Okay, so I was telling you that in the active voice, subject performs action expressed, and the focus is on the agent that does the action. So here subject Adam is the subject. He is doing something. What he is doing? He has cleaned. Okay, this is action. Okay, or verb. And then what is this? This is object, the kitchen. What is cleaned? Kitchen is cleaned. Who is the doer? This Adam is doer. He is the subject. He is doer. Okay. And here this is verb and this is object. So you know very well that there are three basic things in sentences that we have read in previous classes when we were discussing tenses, that there are only three basic things in a sentence: subject, verb, and object. And in voice, even here there are three basic things: subject, verb, and object. If the object is not there, you cannot make passive voice. Okay, it will be a bit difficult for you, though there would be some exceptions. Okay, but we shall not talk about exceptions. We are talking now here about general things. Okay, so here you learned that, children, what is active voice. Active voice is something where you highlight the doer. Here Adam is the doer, he is doing the activity, so here this is active voice. Now learn this passive voice, children. Here the kitchen, this is the object, this is not any person, this is not any doer. Okay, and here next is verb. You know what comes in sentence: subject comes, then object comes, and then then verb comes, and then object comes. So here this is the kitchen, subject. What we are talking about, whatever we talk about becomes our subject. If I am talking about a flower, the flower is subject. Okay, now here passive voice, let us learn what is passive voice. Passive voice is something where we make use of subject to show the action. Okay, there we do not want to show who the doer is, who has done the task. We here do not show the person first. Our purpose is to highlight the action, the activity, and this is passive voice. And later we show who is the doer. The kitchen was cleaned by Adam. So here this is passive voice, children. I hope you would have got what is the difference between active and passive, children. Now let us discuss what are the different usages of passive voice. Children, as you have learned here now, that active voice is used to highlight the person who is doing the activity. In the same way, passive voice has some purpose. The first purpose to make use of passive voice is that when we do not want to show the doer, we want to show the activity. Okay, it means that when we do not want to highlight, suppose you have written an article and I do not want to show that you have written an article, so I will say an article is written. And if I want to show who has written the article, so I will say Vikalp has written an article. Okay, Vikalp has written an article. So here I am highlighting the doer. Now other students will say, sir, why did not you take my name? Because I also used to write articles. Okay, all right. Okay, I understand your emotions and I will also take your names. Okay, so children, here you would have got it. So the first reason for making use of passive voice is that what do you want to highlight? If you want to highlight the person, you will use active voice. If you want to highlight the activity, you will make use of passive voice. Clear? Next is, children, you make use of passive voice in the news headlines. Okay, because in news headlines you want to show the incidents, okay, the cases, the news. Okay, so you would have seen that a truck was seen collided, or a truck was seen overturned on the national highway. So there you are showing the accident. Okay, so here passive voice is used because you do not want to show who has done the accident or how the accident happened, who was the person who did it, who was driving it. These things are not of that importance as the news is in the cover page or on the cover page. Okay, so there in the news headlines, you first of all, your motive is to show the news. Okay, then whosoever would have done, Sher Khan, Sher Singh, Mahesh Singh, whosoever would be the driver, okay, that would be described in the paragraph under the heading. Clear? So my mean to say is that in the news headlines you highlight the incidents. That is why you make use of passive voice. First point I told you about passive voice, use of passive voice, that when you want to highlight the incident, and here where we make use of this, in the newspaper, because in the newspaper we want to highlight the incidents, the accidents, the cases, the things, the problems, achievements, success, the good news, also all sort of news, the things that we want to highlight. Now whosoever is the person who is doing or has done will be described later in the paragraph. Okay, now next that we make use of passive voice is, reason is that when we uh, do not know who's the doer. If your bicycle is stolen, you do not know who is the person who has stolen. So there, when the doer is not known, there you make use of passive voice. Okay, another thing is that when you make use of when you highlight the process of something, when something is being done, suppose you are cooking, okay, and you are telling the process of cooking. Wash the potato first, you told the first step. Then peel the potatoes, second step. Then chop it into pieces, fine pieces, third step. Then put a pan on the stove, pour some oil, and then add the chopped potatoes and stir it. So you are telling all the activities. And as I told you that when you are telling the activities, there you make use of passive voice. So here, why are you making use of passive voice? Because you are showing activities here. So whenever you are telling process of anything, you use passive voice. In the way, children, there are different ways, reasons for making use of passive voice. I hope you would have got sufficiently about making use of passive voice. Now let us continue. Children, here you can see that in the passive voice, the subject receives action. This is the same thing that I have told you, that in active voice, here the person does the activity and this object receives the action in active voice. And in passive voice, children, here the subject, this is passive subject, it is written subject here but it is passive subject. Okay, and this is passive object. Okay, this is passive object. So here in active voice, whatever person does, the object receives the action. Okay, see this. How do we make changes in active and passive voice? This example will show you that she saw him. She is the subject, saw is the verb, him is the object, and here he is the passive subject. Whenever we make passive voice, we change the object from the active voice, okay, and put first. Because here in passive voice, our purpose is to highlight who has done here. Okay, so here I am showing he. Who? He. Okay. And the verb is was seen. So you can see here in active voice here, the sentence is from simple past, and when we are making changes in simple past into passive voice, we are making use of helping verb, and the verb saw is changed into third form seen, and then preposition is added, and the object is taken from the subject of active voice. There you can see the subject of active voice, children. So here the subject in active voice is she, and when this subject is taken into object of passive voice, it is changed into her. Okay. So there are certain changes that we make in person. Okay. So what are the major things? Major thing is that the subject of active voice becomes the object of passive voice. Okay. The subject of active voice, highlight this color, becomes the object of passive voice, and object of active voice becomes the subject of passive voice. Now these are the changes. Now between these subject and object you make use of helping verb. Okay. And then you make use of main verb in third form, and then you use preposition by. These are the thing that you do. You can see another example. They helped us. So they is here in the passive voice in the place of object, passive object, and here object of active voice is in place of subject of active voice, and again you are making use of helping verb and the verb in third form and preposition by. Okay. So these are the basic things, children. Now see these examples, how these examples are made. The person who makes the action is introduced by preposition that you have learned here. Preposition is used, okay, in the passive sentence, but in some cases subject of the passive sentence is omitted. Means somewhere you are not required to put these prepositions by, because somewhere it is understood, okay, that who the doer is. So there you are not required. For example, and where the person is not known, there also you are not required to write down this, the doer. Okay. So there are two reasons for not adding preposition and the object after. Number one is that when you do not know who is the doer, and when the doer is understood. Okay. The examples are: a thief stole my car. So my car was stolen. By a thief is not required to write because it is not known who has stolen. Another is I read the message. So the rest message is read. Okay. So it is understood. Or if you do not want to highlight, even if you write, there is no wrong. Okay. But it would be unnecessary. Okay. Use of the object. Okay. Next is someone has opened the window. The window has been opened. Next is they are building a house. A house is being built. So here you can see, children, whenever you are making use of passive voice, you are using helping verb, and the main verb is in third form. Helping verb, main verb is in third form. Helping verb and the third form. Helping verb, okay, being built. Here ing is written because here the sentence is in continuous tense. Okay, but the main verb is in third form. So learn this, that whenever you are making passive use of passive voice, whenever you are making a sentence in passive voice, you will always use the main verb in third form. Okay, children, the third form should always be in the way main verb should always be in third form. Okay, the third form will always be mentioned there, used there in passive voice. Okay, here again you are using helping verb and this verb being is used because this is continuous sentence, and then the main verb is in here built, third form. Now have a look on these sentences. Active voice. See the differences. Alan wrote a letter to me. A letter was written to me by Alan. So a letter, as I told you, that he object of active voice will come in place of subject of passive voice, and subject of active voice will go to the place of object of passive voice. Okay. So Alan wrote a letter to me. A letter was written by me to me by Alan. Now you have learned the major changes. Object, subject in place of object, and object in place of subject. You have learned these things. Object in place of subject. You have learned two things. Now you need to learn what do we make use of, or what are the different changes we do between these subject and object. Children, we always use, as I told you, that we always use third form of the verb. Okay, and you know that whenever we make use of third form, we need a helping verb. Whenever we make use of third form, we need a helping verb. So if you are using third form written, definitely you will use a helping verb. Now the question is, what kind of helping verb? There are different types of helping verb. Okay, there are different types of helping verb, children. So the answer is, children, you will use helping verb according to the sentence written in active voice, means the according to the tense used in active voice. If it is in present tense, accordingly you will use helping verb from present tense. You know, in present tense is mr. If it is in past tense, you will use accordingly was, were. Helping verb, these are the helping verb you use in past tense, or had. If it is in a perfect tense, you use had or have in present tense, had in past tense. Okay. If it is in ing form, in continuous tense, you will use being, whether it is in present tense, past tense. That we shall discuss further with the examples, otherwise you will be confused. Just understand that we always use third form in the passive voice, and all the third form of the verbs requires helping verbs, and helping verbs are used according to the tenses. According to the tenses. Okay, what sort of tense you make use of. Okay, and then you use preposition by, and then you write down the object from the subject of active voice. Okay, and where it is understood who the doer is, you need not to write the object, and where the doer is unknown, there as well. For example, you will say the notebooks are corrected. So you know very well that teachers are correcting the notebook. So you need not to write the notebooks are corrected by teachers, because only teachers correct the notebook. Okay, but if you are making a sentence somewhere where others are also expected to correct the notebook, there you will have to say the notebook is corrected by Bhavya. Okay, in the way. Another example, the thief is arrested. So you need not to say the thief is arrested by police, because only police is having right to arrest the thief. This is the general concept. Okay. But if you want to show that somebody is arrested by any other person, so there you will have to mention that the thief was arrested by Sandeep. Okay. The thief was arrested by Sandeep. But if you write the thief was arrested, it would be taken as that the thief was arrested by the police. Okay. Next is, children, these are the other examples. Next is in the same way that I told you, when the doer is not known. So there are different ways to make sentences. You can learn it later. Now go through these examples, children. Now we shall learn as per the tenses. How do we make changes in active into passive as per the tenses? So for the first, we are going to discuss this simple present. How do we make changes in simple present from active into passive voice? Have a look on this, and then I will describe you the specifications. Children, if you are getting the things, please write down in the chat box, yes, I am getting. Please write down in the chat box, yes, I am getting. Okay, if you are not getting the things, if you are not getting the concepts, please write down, I'm not getting the concepts. Freely, you are free to write, children. You are my students, you can share your problems, but never make faces, children. Okay, never make faces, never write any other remarks which is bizarre or awkward. Okay, all right, fine. Now let us see that in simple present, he, the example is given from active voice, he lights the candle. Okay, he lights the candle. He is the subject, lights is the verb which is showing action, and the candle is the object. He lights the candle. The candle is the object, children. Okay. But when you change into passive voice, as I told you, that this subject, he, will go at the place of object in passive voice, and object of active voice will be in place of subject of passive voice. The candle was the object here in active voice. It will come here in place of subject in passive voice. And then you have learned these two things. Okay, these two things. Subject, this subject, okay, will become this, and this object. Clear? You have learned these things. Now children, learn this, that how you are making use of the things between these two. So first of all, you are using is. Okay, and then as I told you that main verb will always be in third form. You have changed the main verb from lights into lighted. And then you are using preposition. We always make use of preposition and then write down the object. Okay, in passive voice. This happens in passive voice, but we are not required to write down by preposition and show objects when it is unknown, when the doer is unknown, or when the doer is understood. There are the two things. Mind these things. Okay. Now the biggest question for you children is that where or how do we, or what sort of helping verb should we make, should we write in passive voice. So children, learn this here, that in simple present you will write is, am, are. It is written here, is, am, are, and then third form of the verb. Okay children, in simple present you will write is, am, are. Now why is written? Because the subject is singular, the candle. If the subject would be here, candles,